Alright, how's it going? So it's Hien here, back again with one of my also consistent uploads on this channel. And in this video, what I wanted to talk about is, again, just a bit of a more honest video in terms of the mistakes I've personally made as an agency owner. If you don't know and you're new to this channel, it's your first time watching a video from me. I've run an agency, an online agency for 4+ years. In that time period, not only have I had great moments with the agency, but I've also had peaks and troughs where things weren't so good and other times when things were really good. So in this video, I'm going to just highlight a few mistakes, key mistakes that I've made, and just an honest reflection of my time as an agency owner. And this will be beneficial for you if you are just starting out in your journey running an online agency, you're trying to get your feet into the agency world, or you've had an agency for a few years and want to see what mistakes you may be making as well. So these are just some of the main mistakes that I've made over the years that have stunted my growth in some times, and at other times not doing these things or not making these mistakes have made my agency really flourish. So the first key mistake that I'm going to talk about here is the times when my agency wasn't having the success I wanted over the last 4 years consistently, was when I wasn't doing consistent outreach. When in my agency we weren't reaching out to new potential businesses that could be potential clients or for ourselves. Those are obviously the times that is a clear standout in terms of our agency not growing, is when we weren't doing consistent outreach. So you, again, maybe starting out, you've done outreach for a few weeks or months, you've got your first couple of clients, and then you feel comfortable. You feel as if, okay, you know what, now you don't need to do outreach. You don't need to spend time every single day, every single week to land meetings because you've got a number of clients. Now, this is a huge mistake, because what typically happens is you're going to have a point where you start to lose a few clients. It's a normal part of an agency journey. And when you do get to that point where you lose clients, but you don't have a bank of meetings to fall back on, when you don't have a bank of meetings to fall back on, your agency just suffers. So that is the first crucial mistake that many people make, not having or doing enough consistent outreach and not being consistent with it. Now, if you reach a point where you do have a number of clients as well, you do have some cash flow coming in, maybe you don't need to do all the outreach yourself, but you can hire appointment setters, you can hire VAs, anyone that you can bring into the agency and pay a sum of money in order to do that outreach for you is still going to take care of that mistake. So whatever the case, whether it's you doing it yourself or a hire doing it for you, you want to make sure you are consistent with that in order to have stable growth with the agency throughout. The second mistake, and let me just think about this because these are just off the cuff, I've not written any notes for this video, but the second mistake I've made personally over the last few years is having scattered focus. So again, I came into the online space trying to make money online. I wasn't particularly 100% passionate about running an agency. I just knew I wanted to make money, and I stumbled upon the online service providing model, which is essentially running an agency, and I dove straight into it. I got my first client after 2.5 weeks, which was Exclusive Memorabilia, a memorabilia company based in Manchester, after 2.5 weeks. And then I got another client 2 weeks later. So it was straight away within a month of having my agency or having my service providing business. I did have my first couple of clients, and I got my feet off the ground. So again, I basically just stumbled upon the agency model. I wasn't particularly passionate about it. So what happened over the last 4 years, I've had periods where, for example, I think about 8 months into my journey, or maybe a year into my journey having my agency. At this point, I was probably, if my memory is not right, somewhere in either Valencia in Spain or Riga in Latvia, where I was living. I started to get tired of running an agency, even though it was only 8 months in. And I thought, maybe, you know what, I'm really actually passionate about having an online store myself. Now, there's a lot of challenges that come with an online store. It's a new thing that you need to learn how to run, how to fulfill product and so on. But again, I shifted my focus slightly from my agency, even though I wasn't where I wanted to be with my agency. I wasn't making $10,000 a month, for example. I was maybe around $4,000 a month. And I decided, you know what, now is the right time for me to take some of those earnings I was making and transition to another business model. Mistake number 2, which is switching your focus too early. So over the last 4 years, I've had periods where, again, I've switched my focus to dropshipping, for example, and trying to simultaneously run my agency, even though probably my agency systems weren't as solid as they needed to be, and starting another business. So that is splitting my focus. I don't know if you heard the quote. I can't particularly remember it, but something along the lines of the man or the hunter that chases 2 rabbits gets none. So again, I had this one rabbit here that I was chasing, agency success. I switched it slightly to try and get 2 rabbits at the same time, and that affected my agency. So you don't want to split your focus too early. Focus all in, go all in to running your agency, and that is going to stop you from making the second mistake that I made. Now, probably the final mistake, or the third mistake that I can at least remember clearly off the top of my mind that stands out in terms of where I went wrong, is basically trying to do everything on your own. So typically when you come into the agency space or service providing space, your first couple of clients you will be servicing on your own. You're a one-man band. Essentially, you're the chief operator, you're getting the clients in, you're the salesman, you're doing all the roles in the agency. Now, what typically tends to happen is you get competent in each element. You get competent at sales, obviously, to get your first couple of clients. You get competent at the delivery, and you maybe even do enjoy doing the delivery. In my case, we are a Facebook ads agency, and I do enjoy media buying. I do enjoy doing the copywriting and all that. So you can see yourself as the chief operator, and then you don't take on anybody else because you feel you can do this so much better than anyone you're hiring. In some cases, that may be true. I still feel in terms of media buying, I am pretty solid in media buying myself. And so because of that, it took me a long time to actually start to hire people that can take things off my plate. I did have a VA, I believe 2 months in, who was helping me with like menial tasks, but I never actually hired a copywriter for the agency. I never hired a media buyer. I never hired a salesperson to at least a year in. And this really stunted my growth because I didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to getting new clients, because I was just focusing 80% of my day just actually uploading ads onto Facebook, doing all the copywriting, which to some extent is good, but really stunted my agency growth. And I found at certain points, for example, after I hired my first media buyer to help me with agency campaigns, I noticed I had a problem with that media buyer, so I got rid of them. And then I just went back to doing things on my own, and I realized in the time when I'm doing things on my own, again, the agency growth, you just notice a trend goes down a bit more. So the thing to realize is, if you're reluctant to hire, or you're reluctant to pass on things to anybody else because you don't want to eat into your margins, you want to keep all the money that you're getting in for yourself, realize that that is a mistake. It's going to stunt your growth, and essentially you just don't want to do that. So each one of these 3 things that I mentioned, if you want to have as fast as possible growth with your agency, you want to make sure that 1, consistent outreach daily. Even when you aren't setting meetings, make sure you stick to that, and you are going to see growth guaranteed, as long as it's fairly good outreach, or even if it's even just average outreach. You want to make sure you have at least a baseline of what good outreach is. If you don't know, again, there's other videos on this channel in terms of how to do outreach, but make sure you're consistent with that. Mistake number 1, don't stop every single day, every single week. Make sure you or somebody else in your agency is doing that. Guaranteed, if you do that, you will have agency growth. Number 2, make sure you stay focused at least until you've got great systems in your agency, automated most of it, and even your hires, for example, are performing at a good level. Don't think about any other business model. Don't think about coaching and consulting, which I'm doing. Don't think about doing e-commerce. Just focus in on growing your agency, or focus in on that one thing. If you stumbled upon this video and you are doing e-commerce, then keep doing e-commerce. Don't switch to another business model. It still applies. Keep your focus. And then number 3, if you're doing everything in your agency alone, you have to start again to a point where you are looking for hires to pass on certain tasks. It will eat into your profit margins at the beginning, but it will lead to longer term growth and faster growth for your agency, actually, in terms of revenue, and in fact, once revenue grows, in terms of profit as well. So hope this helped. Again, just a bit more honest look in terms of the main mistakes that I've seen myself make in 4+ years of running an agency. And time again, when I don't adhere to these 3 things, I notice my agency suffers. So again, just wanted to get this video out to you in hopes of being more consistent with my outreach. 1 video every 5 months or 6 months is obviously not what I want for this channel. So hopefully this will, I'm coming back to be more consistent on this. Of course, I don't want to take my focus, as I've said, away too much from my agency, but I can at least get these videos out to you guys to give you some value and help you grow your agencies or your business in the best possible manner. So hope this video helped. That is all for today. Subscribe if you do like this sort of content, or just leave a like, because it helps out the channel a great deal. So once again, if you have any question, let me know as well in the comments, and I'll answer them either in the text below, or I will have a specific video on whatever topic that you would like to hear. So hope you got good value from this, and I'll see you on the next video.